Close your eyes for a moment and picture the very first family on earth. Two people named Adam and Eve standing together in a beautiful garden. Everywhere you look, flowers bloom and rivers sparkle under a bright sun. But what if I told you that this garden story is also the start of every family tree in the world, including the mighty nations of Africa? Imagine a small seed planted in rich soil. Over time, it grows into a strong tree with many branches. Each branch reaches out, sprouting new leaves and tiny twigs. In the Bible, Adam and Eve are like that seed. From them came children, and their children had children, and so on. One of Noah's sons, named Ham, became the father of families who lived in lands we now call Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia. Those families grew into powerful kingdoms, built grand pyramids, and made art that still amazes us today. Today, we will follow those twisting branches from Adam and Eve, through Noah and his son Ham, all the way to the first African nations. We'll see how a promise from God after a great flood led to people filling the earth, including the lands along the Nile River and beyond. By the end of this video, you'll understand that every family, every culture, and every person is part of one big human story, one that begins with a loving Creator and reaches across continents to our own doorsteps. Ready to trace the roots of our shared history? Let's begin this amazing journey back to our very first family tree, God's special creation. In the very beginning, there was no one else, just God and a beautiful garden called Eden. God took some dust from the ground and shaped it into a man. He breathed life into that man, and the man opened his eyes. His name was Adam, which means human. Imagine being the very first person ever, waking up to birds singing and flowers all around you. A friend made from a rib. Even though Adam lived in a perfect garden, he felt lonely without someone to talk to. So God caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. While he slept, God took one of Adam's ribs and used it to make a woman. When she woke up, Adam called her Eve, meaning life, because she would be the mother of all living people. God smiled as he saw Adam and Eve walk together in the garden, sharing laughs and stories. The first siblings. Adam and Eve loved each other and trusted God. Soon Eve had children. Their first son was Cain, then a second son named Abel. Cain became a farmer growing crops from the soil. Abel became a shepherd caring for fluffy sheep. Though they were brothers, they didn't always get along. But their lives remind us that families can be messy and beautiful at the same time. A line of hope. After Abel, Eve had another son named Seth. Seth was different. He honored God and taught his children to follow him. The Bible says that through Seth's family line, we can trace the people who stayed close to God. Think of Seth as planting a seed. That seed would grow into a big family that would fill the earth with people who loved God and told his stories. In these early chapters, we learn that every person on earth traces back to one loving Creator, and that we all belong to this one amazing growing family. After the great flood, only Noah, his wife, and their 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, stepped off the ark onto dry land. The world was fresh and quiet, like a brand new playground waiting to be explored. God's big plan. God spoke kindly to Noah's family. Go out and fill the earth with your children. Think of it like planting seeds. Each son would grow his own seedlings of families across the world. Meet the brothers. Shem, the oldest, caring and thoughtful. His descendants would travel east toward lands we now call Asia and the Middle East. Ham, the middle son, adventurous and bold. His children would spread into Africa, across deserts and along rivers. Japheth, the youngest, creative and curious, his line would move north and west toward Europe's hills and forests. spreading out. Imagine 3 paths winding away from Mount Ararat, where the ark came to rest. Each brother carries a small lamp of promise, symbolizing God's blessing to their family lines. As they walk, they plant trees, build homes, and share stories of God's kindness. Why it matters. This moment shows how one family can become many nations. God didn't just save Noah's family from the flood. He gave them a mission to bring life and hope to every corner of the earth. The journey of Shem, Ham, and Japheth reminds us that we all come from one big family under God. This section paints a picture of new beginnings, 3 brothers, 3 paths, and a promise to fill the whole world with their families and faith. Ham's family begins. After the flood, Noah's 3 sons left the ark to fill the earth. Ham was the youngest. He went south, where the hot sun and wide rivers called to him. Cush, land of the Nile's upper flow. Ham's son Cush settled along the Great Nile in lands we now call Sudan and Ethiopia. Imagine green fields by the river's edge, where people built strong kingdoms and told stories under shady palms. Name Cush became the root of many African nations south of Egypt. Misrem, the heart of Egypt. Another son, Misrem, stayed north along the Nile. Misrem is the Bible's name for Egypt. His children learned to build pyramids, carve stone, and write on papyrus. Think of the Great Pyramid shining under a bright sun, testaments to Misrem's lasting legacy. Put, shores of the Mediterranean. Ham's son Put settled even further north and west, near coastal places by saltwater seas. While historians still discuss exactly where Put lived, many link him to parts of North Africa, where people fished, traded, and mixed cultures along the shore. Canaan, neighbor to the Promised Land. The youngest, Canaan, stayed close to Israel's future home. Though he lived near fields and hills, his descendants often clashed with Israel. His story reminds us that even in nearby lands, people carried Ham's heritage and shaped history. Seeds growing into nations. From Cush's highlands to Misrem's desert kingdoms, Put's seacoasts, and Canaan's hills, Ham's children planted seeds across Africa. Over time, these branches spread, grew, and formed the many nations we know today. Through Ham's line, the Bible shows us how African peoples trace their roots back to Noah, and how one family grew into whole regions filled with diverse cultures, languages, and stories. Cush, land of mighty kingdoms. Cush's people settled along the Upper Nile, in today's Sudan and Ethiopia. They learned to farm fertile riverbanks, build cities, and forge metal tools. Ancient records speak of the kingdom of Cush, with grand palaces and skilled archers. Their influence reached far. Traders carried ivory, gold, and ebony to Egypt and beyond. Misraim, builders of Egypt. Misraim is the Bible's name for Egypt, where the mighty pyramids still stand. From simple villages on the Nile, they grew into a great civilization. Pharaohs led grand armies, priests wrote down wisdom, and artists carved stone temples. Egypt's achievements remind us how Ham's children shaped human history. Put and Canaan, neighbors and traders. Put's descendants lived in North Africa, trading along Mediterranean coasts. Canaan's line settled near Israel's borders, weaving cultures together in art and language. These groups met at crossroads, exchanging goods like spices, cloth, and ideas. Branches spread wide. Over generations, Ham's family multiplied and moved. Some crossed deserts, others sailed seas. They adapted to new lands, building mud brick homes in one place, stone villages in another. Languages, music, and traditions grew unique in each region, yet all shared a common root in Noah, a promise for all nations. God told Noah he would bless every nation through these families. Genesis 9:1. The story of Cush, Misrem, Put, and Canaan shows how one family can fill the earth. Today's African cultures bear the marks of these early branches, rich, diverse, and united in origin. This journey from post-flood dispersal to thriving kingdoms highlights how Ham's sons seeded nations across Africa, fulfilling God's promise that all peoples would spring from one family tree. We all belong to one family. No matter where our skin is dark or light, we all come from Adam and Eve, and then from Noah's sons. That means brothers and sisters around the world, from every country and every tribe. Africa's rich ancient roots. When we hear names like Cush or Misraim in the Bible, we're listening to the first stories of African people. Those names tell how families built homes along the Nile and in the mountains of Ethiopia and Sudan. God's promise to everyone. After the flood, God said the rainbow is for all people, not just one group. Genesis 9, verse 13 to 16. His promise stretched over every branch of Noah's family tree, all of us included. Respect and celebrate diversity. Learning these roots helps us honor different cultures and traditions today. We can celebrate African music, art, and stories as part of God's big plan. Unity through our origin. When we remember we share a single family tree, it brings us together instead of pulling us apart. We can choose kindness, friendship, and peace because we truly are one human family. Carry the story forward. You can tell your friends and family how Africans connect to the Bible's earliest chapters. Sharing this helps others see that in God's eyes, no person or nation is outsiders. God painted a grand picture of humanity that spans deserts, rivers, and cities on every continent. Today, we stand on those ancient roots. Knowing our shared beginnings shows us how to live with respect, love, and unity because we all grow from the same tree.